Hello everybody! Welcome to week 2 of Richton Park Public Library's Takeaway Crafts. Today we are going to make something that looks, this is just my example. What we make is going to look a lot nicer. This one has fallen on the floor a couple times. It got a little squished. That's how life is sometimes. But we're going to make this beautiful Dahlia Wreath. I chose the colors, the red, the light red, and the orange because I thought it also kind of looked like a fire. So if you wanted to have a pretend s'more making at your house, you can microwave the marshmallows, but you can pretend to toast them over the fire. Also, it just looks really pretty. It's very bright and summery. It looks kind of like a sun. And since we're heading into the hottest time of the year, we definitely need lots of sunshine. So, when you get your kit, it is going to have one circle with a dot cut out of it. You're going to have a little piece of orange string, and you're going to have about 16 of these squares. They're cut in 4 by 4 inch squares. The nice thing about this is pretty much any paper you have at home. You could use newspaper, you could actually use old damaged book pages to make this dahlia. You could do lots of different things. So even if you don't get in to get a kit, you can still go ahead and make this with stuff you have around the house. What I did to get the circle, I had a bowl. I set the bowl down here, I traced around it, and then I cut it out with a box cutter. I was able to use just a regular hole punch to punch holes in the cardboard. And we're gonna start there because when I made the first one, actually this is like the second or third time I've done this craft, and every single time I forget this. Before you start, you should really put your thread through the hole. This is your hanging string. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just tape it here to the back so it stays out of my way. But by putting this on first, now I don't have to worry about coming back at the end and trying to leverage up a place to make a hole and then put the string in, because this can be tricky and it can actually untape some of these cones that we're going to make. And if you're going to work this hard on making these cones, you don't want to worry about dislodging them. So we've got our circle and we put our thread through, and like I said, I just taped it down. It's perfectly fine, it's out of the way. We are going to be using a lot of tape, and I just have regular old satin finish Scotch tape. I have seen this done with hot glue, and you could very easily do this with hot glue. I didn't want to get burned. I have you know me, I'm a little accident prone. So I decided tape was really the easiest way to go. Again, you could also use school glue, but that's going to take a lot longer because you're going to have to wait for it to dry. And paste that comes in sticks isn't really strong enough to hold this, so I wouldn't use that. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is show you how to make the cones. If you do it like this, you get a cannoli. We don't want a cannoli, okay? We want an ice cream cone. So I'm still going to take these two corners, but I'm going to overlap one over the other, and I'm going to curl it around, okay? Now I'm going to make the orange ones a little bit smaller. What I found when I was doing my sample was if I did the orange ones really big, I couldn't fit as many, it didn't look as good, and they got squished a lot easier. So I'm making the orange ones a little bit tighter. Okay. Just so you see it one more time. So I have 1 point up, 1 point down. I'm going to overlap the corners. I can't do this upside down. I'm going to overlap the corners and then roll it till it becomes a cone. Sometimes I have to do it a couple of times to get it to be the way that I want it to be. You want them to be nice and full, so it is going to look like a waffle cone. Okay, and I can just hold it here, take a piece of tape, stick that down. So now I've got a whole bunch of cones. So I gave you enough for 16 cones of each color. We have the light red, we have the regular red, and we have the orange. Okay, so we're going to start with the regular red. Okay, I'm going to put it, here's the center. I'm going to put it so the point is about halfway to the center. And I'm going to tape it down. Yes, we are going to use an excessive amount of tape. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, for your red ones, you're probably going to use all of them, okay? And then we'll have a few left over. And what I didn't say on Monday was save all your extra craft supplies because we might be able to use them to make something really cool that's just extra, okay? Now, I also like to go by sixths. I don't know why. You could do this by fourths, so you could do 4 and then put 3 between. You're going to end up with the same number regardless. But I like to start out, yeah, I'm going to squish that guy down. And look, I can still puff them up if they get too squished. Not the most interesting thing, but it is a lot of fun to do. Making all the cones is probably the thing that's going to take you the longest. Your wreath construction is going to take the least amount of time. Different weeks, we're going to have different amounts of time that you're going to have to spend. Okay, so we have 6 base ones. Now we're going to put 1 or 2 between each one. It really depends. As you can see, I'm not perfect. This space is much bigger than this space, okay? So I might be able to fit 2 here. I may only be able to fit 1 here. I'm gonna go ahead and, these are really nice because they all nest just like ice cream cones. I know, the first one is popsicles, this one's ice cream. It is summer, we need to enjoy our summer treats responsibly. All right, so I'm gonna put this guy here. Now the first round is actually pretty easy because everything pretty much wants to fit together now. And we're still more or less only working in one dimension. We're just putting them around the outside. You'll see when we get to the second one that we're starting to work more 3-dimensionally. And that can be a little bit tricky. Even this is starting to stack up a little bit, and that's okay. That's what we want. This is not going to be perfect. Nothing in nature is perfect. See that? That doesn't want to fit there. So I'm just going to squeeze this little guy in. And I just realized we're going to come up short. So if you'll give me one moment, I'm going to go cut a couple extra squares. I'll be sure to put a couple extra in every kit so that we're all sure we have enough. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I figured out what happened. If you look at the cones on this first wreath, you're going to see they're really nice and big and open. When I came back to redo them, I made them a little narrower. That means I can fit more in. So that's what, and it really does depend. If you roll them up really, really tight, you could fit 100 around the outside edge. I don't recommend that. That is a lot of paper and a lot of tape. But you can always come back later with your own paper and make one yourself. I only gave you enough to do this. So but it's still going to look really nice when you're finished. Just depends on how much time you want to spend. This one's pretty quick. If we did one with hundreds and hundreds of little rolls, it would look really super cool, but it would take you a million years. Okay. First string is done. Like I said, I will be sure to go back and add some extra red to each kit so that you'll be sure to have enough. I even have one extra red one left over. Okay. Also, if you do this further out to the edge of the circle, you're going to be able to fit more around because you're going to have that bigger diameter. I like having a smaller diameter. That way it's going to be much more snug and more like a real flower. Okay. So then we're going to start working one level up. So I'm going to come about halfway between, I want this point to fall about halfway between this circle and the center. Now you're going to find as you start going around this time, it's going to be, and this time I'm just going to go straight around so I can fit everything in. But you see now we're starting to curve upward. So I'm going to put it a little bit inside. And these are dahlias. I didn't know what dahlias were for a long, long time. And then I heard about the black dahlia murder in California, and that kind of made me off the flowers for a little while. But it's very interesting. Okay. So I'm going to put this down, squish the point. More tape than that. It's better to have a little too much overlap than not enough overlap. They travel really well when you put them, stack your cones like this, but it takes forever to get them undone. So, you see we're really creating more of a bowl here. That's okay, that's what we want. It's this nice bowl effect. Let's see, we can fit, we'll do at least, yeah, we'll do 2 more. I'd rather have a little bit extra than not enough. And see, we'd have a big gap there. We don't like that. Okay, it'll get pushed down. So you'll see this is actually a pretty deep cup. Okay. We still have quite a few of the light red cones, and no, they are not pink, they are light red. Now I've got the orange. Now the orange ones I wound up a little bit tighter, so they're going to be a much smaller loop opening than the ones before. This way we can fit more of them, and they can fit closer together. Because on my original one, you'll see I did them about the same size, if not bigger, and it just got all clustered and it didn't look really great. So the one we're making together is going to look so much better than the one I did by myself. So let's start with this. Again, you always want to put it, let's see, this guy. We may even take this guy, fold it over to make it a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter, and then tuck it inside here. Okay. That's how we're going to get that fullness. We're going to make it a little bit shorter. Now I could have just cut these down to 3-inch sizes, but I decided I wanted to, for ease of everything, I just made them all the same size. You could cut the tips off if you want, okay? And notice how these guys are sticking almost straight up. You can also pre-cut your tape ahead of time, but when we're putting these, we have the points to the outside of the flower. I like to think of them as little water pitchers. They're here just to catch all the water and send it down to the stem so the flowers can grow. I don't know if that's really how it works. Probably not. It's been a long time since I've taken any botany. And you say, oh, we're gonna have this great big ugly space in the middle. No, because we're gonna fill it in. It's just gonna be a little trickier to fill in because we are running out of room. Okay, that's good. We want to run out of room. We want it to be clustered nice and tight. Now, I will say this, our our lighting in here is a little odd, so everything looks very washed out. I promise these are very bright colors, okay? So I'm just taking probably the bottom ½ inch, folding it over, and then folding this out because it is sitting down inside the cup, like that, okay? And now we're just gonna do a few more of these guys to fill in the center. So it's gonna look like it has a lot more orange. Technically, it's not gonna have that much. It's just that we're kind of doing 2 rings. And these guys I might even fold a little bit smaller. It does get pretty hard to reach in there. And while it is what we want, it is also a little annoying, so. If this starts to get frustrating, take a break, go get some water, and then come back and try it again. Yeah, see, this already looks a lot better than the one I made. The one I made also fell apart, the first one. And that's when I said, you know what, let's come back and figure something else better. This might be where hot glue works better for you. I don't like hot glue being that close to my hands. So, okay. I might come back and I'm gonna do one more here in the middle, but I'm gonna do it a little different. I'm going to just fold this over like this, put a piece of tape, kind of hold the tape back so it doesn't get stuck on the way down, and stick that, I think I can get one more in there. So I'm gonna take that one out and fold it a little bit shorter. Because I want it to tuck down in there really nice, not stick up. Yeah. And yes, they're getting a little bent, that's okay, we'll just straighten them right back out. So what I did, I took it about halfway and folded it over backward. Put my piece of tape, lots of tape, use a long piece for this. And then I can kind of tuck those ends back. I don't want them to get stuck until I get my my cone placed. And there we go. It's this nice little dahlia. It's gonna look really nice on your front porch or in the kitchen or wherever you need a little bit of sunshine. If they pop back out, just tape them back down, okay? And then, because we already have the string back here, now you can decide how you want it to hang. Now, I like to make my string very short, so I might tie it off here, so you can't see it. I may tie it off at the end so it has a little bit more movement. Okay. This is actually a pretty forgiving project. Just give yourself time to figure out how making the cones works best for you. It's a lot of fun. This is also something you could do with kids. I think the first place I ever saw it, a lady was doing it with her child, and they looked like something from kindergarten, but they looked super, super cute. So this is super easy. Like I said, you can use any paper. You can use any color paper. If you want to do it just all one solid color, that's always an option. Okay. And yes, I'm going to fiddle with it for who knows. But that's okay. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. The directions are pretty much just exactly what we've gone through. So have fun, and we will see you next week.